At 13, James Hetfield's world didn't just fall apart. It was ripped out from under him. His father vanished without a word. No goodbye, no explanation, just a cold, empty house and a mother left scrambling to hold everything together. That moment carved something deep into him, a silent rage, a quiet sorrow that would fuel decades of music and soul-searching. "I hated him for that," James said years later. "He left, took the money, and my mom worried herself sick. And eventually, she died." By 16, James was completely on his own. Both parents gone, one physically, the other emotionally. But that pain didn't crush him. Instead, he turned it into something else, something the world had never heard before. But even as Metallica filled arenas and shattered records, the real battle raged inside him. A fight with abandonment, addiction, and the ghost of a family that never really showed up when he needed them most. James Hetfield was born into contradiction. His mother, Cynthia, was a talented artist who loved opera and theater. His father, Virgil, ran a modest trucking business. Their home life seemed ordinary from the outside, but inside, it was bound by a belief system that would change everything. The Hetfields were Christian Scientists, strict believers in spiritual healing over modern medicine.
The concept of Christian Science is you're using all of the God's power to heal you. You don't believe in doctors, you don't believe in dentists.
And if you didn't get better, it was seen as a weakness of faith. As a kid, James was often pulled from health class, left standing in hallways while classmates learned about the body. Teachers stared, students whispered. His parents gave him rehearsed lines to explain the religion, but James didn't believe any of it. "I didn't understand. I just wanted to be normal," he later said. Inside his own house, questions weren't welcome. Curiosity was discouraged. Emotions were buried. And so, James went inward. When he was just 9, he discovered his older brother's record collection, and that moment changed his life. "Music became a way to get away from my screwed-up family," he said in a 2004 interview. "It wasn't just a hobby, it was a lifeline." Then his father left, and everything shattered. There was no warning, no face-to-face goodbye, just a note left behind. Weeks passed before James even saw it. "I thought he was on a business trip," he said. "Then my mom sat us down and told us he wasn't coming back." That absence would mark him forever. Music became his only outlet. Every riff, every scream, every lyric became a vessel for the pain he couldn't express. "I started to close off from the world and got very deep into music," James said. "Songs were the only things that talked back." But tragedy wasn't finished with him yet. At 16, his mother began to deteriorate. She had cancer, but true to her faith, she refused treatment. There were no hospital visits, no medications, just prayer and silence. "We just watched her wither away," James said. "There was no funeral, nothing. She was just gone." The grief never had a place to land. No outlet, no goodbye. He had no one to talk to about it. So he drank, a lot. And by the time he was out of high school, his anger toward his father had evolved into something darker. "I blamed him for her death," James admitted. "She didn't know how to survive without him. He left, and she died." Eventually, James moved in with his older brother and started working factory jobs, the kind of work he could get without cutting his hair or fitting in. One day, someone told him he'd make a great foreman. James thought, "No, that can't be it. This music thing has to work. It's all I've got." And somehow, it did. Through Metallica, he found purpose. He found community. He found family. "My real family fell apart," James said. "So I created my own with the band." But pain has a funny way of circling back. When bassist Cliff Burton died in a bus crash during a 1986 tour, James was devastated. Cliff had been a brother, a soulmate in music. His death reopened every wound James had tried to bury. "I thought, maybe it's better not to get close to people," he said. The loss bled into the music. His lyrics became darker, more personal, more viciously honest. Dyer's Eve, one of Metallica's most intense tracks, was written directly to his parents. "Dear Mother, dear Father, what is this hell you put me through?" he growled. It wasn't poetry, it was raw truth. In that same period, James admitted he didn't know or care if his father had ever heard the song. But that wasn't the whole story. Because years later, when success finally brought some stability, James tried to reconnect with his dad. He bought him a house. They went hunting, spent time together, tried to mend what was broken, but it never quite fit. "We did some things together, but it was never close," James said. "I think I did it because that's what rocker guys do when they get money. They buy their parents a house." His father eventually died of cancer in 1996. Another chapter closed. Another goodbye without real closure. But if the beginning of Hetfield's life was about loss, the middle was about triumph. Metallica didn't just succeed, they redefined heavy metal. With James's haunting voice and brutal honesty leading the charge, the band became one of the most iconic in music history. They sold over 125 million albums worldwide, earned 9 Grammys, and were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2009. Hetfield, the abandoned boy who once worked in a factory and drowned pain in booze, is now worth an estimated $150 million. He owns ranches, custom cars, and now leads a life far from the one he came from. But with all the success, he still carries the scars. In recent years, he's opened up more than ever before about addiction, anger, and learning how to be vulnerable after decades of shutting it all down. During a 2022 show in Brazil, James stopped mid-set and told the crowd something few rock stars would ever admit.
"I gotta tell you, I wasn't feeling very good before I came out here. Feeling a little bit insecure, like I'm an old guy, can't play anymore, all this."
His bandmates hugged him, the crowd roared, and James stood there, not just as a legend, but as a man still trying, still healing, still human. "I am not alone," he told them, "and neither are you." Because that's what James Hetfield's story is really about. Not just pain, not just loss, but survival, reinvention, the power of turning everything you were never given into something the whole world can feel. From a silent hallway outside health class to the loudest stages on earth. James Hetfield never got the goodbye he needed, but through his music, he gave the world something even more powerful, a voice that never stopped screaming the truth.